Good morning, and welcome to our daily edition of the Zelda Show, a sprinkling of music, news, interviews, and general chit-chat. Find out more about the Jewish world here and in Israel in a unique and easy manner. Your host and producer, Zelda.
Come fly around when the spirit will cry, never higher, your heart takes wing, and with the birds it sings a song of joyous praise. Hallelujah is the airline of Israel, the country without their arms. Come fly around, come fly around.
Good morning, and how are you this morning? Nice to be back with you. It's sort of chilly, but I'm assuming that it'll get warmer in the next month or two, just before the winter sets in, right? Absolutely right. Anyway, we have a very exciting show, as we normally do. Dr. Michael Dallen, Rabbi Michael Katz, and Reverend Jack Saunders of the Rainbow Covenant, the Noahide Covenant, will be joining us throughout the program. We'll also be fielding and taking your calls, putting a lot of questions, getting a lot of information about the Noahide movement to you and other issues as well. Very special guest on the program with us this morning, and a third that will probably join us a little later on in the program. We have Michael Dallen, who has written the Rainbow Covenant, which you are very much aware of, the Noahide Covenant. And we also have Reverend Jack Saunders on the line with us this morning. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Zelda.
Morning, Michael. Jack, how are you this morning? You know, just before we get started, I just wanted to read a couple of things that I found out about the Rainbow Covenant. Michael, this should interest you. It says here, Michael Dallen's book, The Rainbow Covenant, is a must-read for everyone. I have studied the 7 laws of Noah for several years and have found Michael Dallen's book a great read for both the novice and serious student. The book is both wide in scope and inclusive. You do not need to be a religious person to read the Rainbow Covenant, for it is the stuff that nations are built on. And I have many other things that people have written about the Rainbow Covenant, both Jews and non-Jews. This one that says, what does our Creator require of the children of Noah? The Rainbow Covenant speaks to the heart of every human being, and as an observant Jew, I thought I knew the subject, but I was amazed at the complexity of the details of these 7 essential universal principles presented in a very readable, engaging book. And she goes on to say, so one is from a non-Jew, one is from a Jew, about your book, The Rainbow Covenant. So congratulations on all these good readings that people are saying about that, Michael.
Nice to hear.
Nice to hear. Okay, can you both of you sort of tell us how you got together, how the Noahide movement was formed? Maybe we can start with Reverend Saunders, a little bit from him.
Well, it's always a pretty long drawn-out situation, but the way that me and Michael met was at a conference that was held, a B'nai conference that was held several years ago. I think it was in 1990, if I'm not mistaken. And
89 or 90, John?
Excuse me?
89 or 90?
I think it was 1990 was the first one that we actually met at. And as a result of that, we just kind of clicked, and we've been friends ever since.
Along with Mike Katz.
Along with Rabbi Katz. Rabbi Katz, of course, was my first teacher. He began teaching us somewhere around the year 1988, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, okay, the point is that the Noahide movement came together, and you gentlemen were very much a part of how it all began, including Rabbi Katz, who will be joining us a little later. But, Michael, can you tell us what the Noahide movement is, what the 7 universal laws, and why it is for the non-Jew as well as the Jew?
Noahide movement is different things to different people. Some people think it's Judaism light, Judaism in a can, as it were, Judaism for Gentiles. Others think it's just the universal rules that apply to all men. The United States Congress enacted, it was in recognition of the late Chabad rabbi, and it was a pro forma sort of declaration, but it did declare the Noahide Laws the very bedrock of civilization. and indeed they are. They're all the Torah laws, all the laws of Sinai that are logical, that would be known to man, presumably, if man were really logical, and
that's a question in itself.
Well, yeah, it's hard to know. If you grow up in a culture that believes in killing visitors and killing people who pass by in order to rob them, you're not going to find that logical. But if you don't, if you've got cultural sanity, you will. A lot of our Noahides worship the God of Israel as well as they can, and they study Hebrew books, they study Maimonides, and they're almost like Orthodox Jews in their dedication to study. Jack is a group like that. We have other Noahides who just believe in living good lives without violating the basic laws of civilization, and trying to establish a system of justice, trying to participate in the justice system that is, and they worship different gods.
But they respect each other.
They respect each other, and they respect Israel, and they give Israel, the people of Israel, the benefit of the doubt. They realize there is a covenant between the ultimate spirituality, the God of Abraham, and the Jewish people, and they realize there's a covenant between themselves and that same God. They may try to get to him in different ways through different gods. Many Noahides believe in the saving power of Jesus. Many Noahides believe in Buddhist deities. They're all over the map on that, but they all respect the Bible. They all give Israel, like I say, the benefit of the doubt, and they do tend to go beyond the Noahide laws and to look with favor on the non-Noahide laws of the Bible. Some of the laws that make Israel unique, like the laws of kosher eating, they regard these revealed laws in the Torah and the Bible as being God-given and as being inherently righteous, even though we don't know the meanings.
Okay. All right. Let me give out the numbers for those people out there, because we have our gentleman on the line calling from different places in the United States. Michael from Detroit. I think Reverend Saunders from Chattanooga, Tennessee. You can detect that from his accent. And I think Rabbi Katz when he calls from Miami or whatever. So I want to give out the 800 number as well as our local number. If there are people out there who have any questions, want to know more about the Noahide laws, the number is 1-866-587-1007. That's 1-866-587-1007. Or right here in our area, 416-870-1007, all reflecting the FM dial 100.7 if you're listening on our website, which is zeldayoung.com or chinradio.com. Okay, Reverend Saunders, what is your take on all of this? What is your feeling? I mean, Michael's Jewish, you are not, Rabbi Katz is. How did this make such a difference to you? Why is it so important to you?
Well, I began, at least from my own perspective, was years ago, I had made a commitment to finding truth. And for most of my life, I've been trying to find that truth. Some people have the idea there's no absolute truth. I think eventually people will come to the conclusion there are absolute truths, and those absolute truths are embedded within the context of the Torah. King David in Psalm 119 makes a wonderful statement. He says, most English translations just says the law is truth, but in reality in Hebrew it's called Torah ha'emet. In other words, King David saw the Torah as absolute truth. And in that search for truth, I went through many stages. I grew up in a Christian home, went to Christian churches, the biggest and largest part of my life. There was a time of rebellion, within my early teen and the events occurred, I came back. And through just really study, I began to question a lot of things I found within Christianity. And in fact, when I was going to seminary at Tennessee Temple University, my last year that I was back, my last semester that I was there, I had to carry about 20 hours just to get through it because I realized that I'd spent all this time and all this money and I was not going to get my degree because I had come to some conclusions that was tending to lead me away from what people would call Orthodox Christianity. And then I had to deal with this character, Jesus, which is the prominent figure within Christianity. And because I started studying the Torah, I went to a synagogue, to a Hebrew literacy campaign, and began to learn a little Hebrew, with a southern accent, of course. And as a result of that, I wanted to be able to read the books themselves without somebody's translation that was being influenced by their theological backgrounds and ideas. And as I began that search, I found out that maybe this character named Jesus wasn't exactly who people said he was. And through that, I began to find there is ultimate truth. There was, a search that really led me to the fact that, okay, if this guy was a Jew, which I assumed that he was, he has a Jewish mother, at least, from what we understand from history, and I assumed what was he studying? Well, it had to be Judaism. And I began looking for Jewish sources, Jewish books. I bought a lot of books probably I shouldn't have bought, but I was just trying to find truth. And I ran across a couple of books in the course of my life that led me to other sources and other people too. It's not just that this was kind of like something I was doing on my own. There was other people that was involved in this, and they were bringing to the table a lot of other information. And from that information, we gathered certain conclusions, and that's led us to the Noahide Laws. And
okay, we have Rabbi Katz also joining us on the line this morning as well. Rabbi Michael Katz, how are you? Thank you for being a part of this trio.
Thank you very much. Glad to be able to join you.
You can say hi to the other gentlemen. We have Reverend Saunders, as you can hear, and we have Michael Dallen as well.
Hi, Jack. Hi, Mike.
good morning, Rabbi.
Okay, if we can sort of get you apart in all of this, I know that you're in the forward of the Rainbow Covenant, and what is a rabbi doing with a reverend and whatever? How did you get to all of this? I know that we talked to you once a long time ago, but we sort of reestablished your thoughts here.
Well, Jack is a recovered reverend.
Okay.
So we don't have to be concerned about what he was in a previous life. We only have to be worried about what he is now. So right now he's a Noahide, and he's on board with the program. So I have no problems with what he might have been, beforehand. And Mike Dallen, of course, is our Jewish lawyer.
Always need a lawyer in the middle of everything, don't we? Don't we? So how did you get involved in all of this? Because it seems unusual that a rabbi from Miami is, part of all of this. Not now, but at the beginning.
Well, I wasn't in Miami at the beginning. I think it was very serendipitous. I was in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which isn't too far away from where Jack lives in Cleveland, Tennessee. And he and his colleague, Joe David Davis, who at that time was in Athens, Tennessee, they were looking for a rabbi to teach them, and I was the only one available. I think they looked around to try to find some other people. Jack can probably tell you who know about their investigations and their search, and they ended up with me, for the better or for worse.
Well, I'm sure that it was for the better. But, okay, well, all three of you are with us today, and there are lots of questions that I would like to ask you and our audience as well. Three of the lines are already taken up, but there's still a couple of lines that are available. And so let's get started. And for the three of you, from different interpretations, what do you think is the role of the Jewish people today? Why is there such a small group of people created so much discussion, whether it's love or hatred. But what are we here for? What are we here to do?
Well, I would say we're here to help the world get to the next stage of human history. I'd like to hear from Rabbi Katz and Jack.
Well, I would say that the reason why, and really possibly the cause of anti-Semitism, is because we are meant to be. The Jewish people are the conscience of the world. And you know how anyone behaves when they want to do something bad and their conscience bothers them. And sometimes they follow their conscience and sometimes they just try to eradicate it. And if we are the conscience of the world, there are those who are bent on doing what is not right, and they want to get rid of this little nuisance sitting on the shoulder, whispering into their ear, don't do that, don't do that, that's not the right thing to do. So the best thing is just brush it off your shoulder, get rid of it.
So basically you think we're like the moral compass?
We should be. That's what we are meant to be. Are we that? Some of us still are, of course, but by and large, most of our Jewish co-religionists have lost that identity, and that's unfortunate because they're bearing the brunt of anti-Semitism without even understanding why. In other words, they've lost their Jewishness, they've lost their role as the moral compass, as you called it, or the conscience, and yet they're still suffering from anti-Semitism, and they think it's unjustified.
But there's still other roles. They are important so long as they carry the torch. They're still Jews, and they still do amazing things. Right, Jack?
Well, and I believe that Rabbi Raphael Hirsch speaks about this. You know, when he grew up in Germany during the time of the Reformation among the Jewish people. But, you know, one of the things I remember him talking about, and I can't remember the context in which it was in, but he was talking about that, look, that to be a Jew and to act like a Jew, you know, to be an observant Jew brings a certain amount of respect from people. But when Jews tend not to become, you know, fully observant, that respect turns into anti-Semitism. I find that kind of amazing, but that was kind of his analogous at that time. Of course, you know, he was basically fighting the Reform movement at that time, or the higher Enlightenment period of that time.
You can see most Jews just want to be left alone.
Well, and that's what Raphael Hirsch was saying. He was saying that here is this incredible people that have these incredible laws and really receive recognition and respect when they conform to those. But when they don't conform to them, then they're looked upon with a lot of disrespect. And I think it maybe ties back in what Rabbi Katz was saying.
Yeah, but isn't that a lot of, we have to live up to such a high standard? Isn't that very hard? I mean, you'll see the left-wing Jews who are so in Hollywood and people like that who are, for every charity, they do so many things, everything, but nothing to do with Israel or nothing to do with Judaism. They want to be left alone. They don't want to be reminded over and over that they're Jewish, as bad as may seem.
But they push Jewish values constantly, from the Warner Brothers to Jerry Zucker to Jerry Bruckheimer to Steven Spielberg, whether or not they're consciously Jews. They imbibe Judaism with their mother's milk, and they believe in certain things. I mean, we've had Jewish gangsters, Jewish wrestlers, Jewish fighters, and they've made unique contribution. You got to remember, we're talking about 1/4% of the human race. We're talking about just about 1.34% of the population of North America, making this incredible contribution, and we're doing that, and these secular Jews, whether they're right or left wing, are providing moral lessons, things that they believe in that very often are representative of Torah values. They spring from Torah values.
Okay, Michael, we have a caller on the line who I think would like to ask a question. Are you there, caller?
Yeah, I'm there.
What is your question?
I would like to ask the Rabbi and the Reverend, why does God allow Holocaust and pogroms on the Eden, and why do they allow the homosexual make parades?
Okay. You need to relax here, and we're going to get our gentleman to answer this question.
Thank you, Zelda. Thank you.
This is a very emotional caller, and so if you want to address any of those issues, go ahead.
Well, I'm not sure how it ties in with Noahides and the program, but why, it's the old question, why did God allow the Holocaust? Why does God allow evil to exist in the world? Unlike certain other religions who think that there is a rivalry between God and the devil or Satan, that God represents good and Satan represents evil, we don't buy into that. We are with Isaiah, who says that God, it's the same God who created good also created evil, which means that the evil that exists in the world is not a fundamental evil, but it's a road to the good. In other words, if you cannot overcome evil, you cannot be totally good. That's putting it in a very simplistic form. God allows evil to exist in the world because we have to overcome it. If there's no opportunity for temptation, then there's ultimately not a perfect reward.
So how do you deal with the Holocaust? I think that's something that rabbis, people all over the world, can never really find an answer. We love God, we know He's a good God, a merciful God, but how could this have happened? Nobody has an answer to this.
Well, there is an answer, but the answer is somewhat Kabbalistic. It depends on a belief in reincarnation. If you don't believe in reincarnation, then there's tremendous tragedies in the world, even without the Holocaust. You're talking about children, innocent children, 4 or 5-year-old children dying in car accidents or dying of cancer. And why? Why does God allow that to happen? The Holocaust just transfers that issue onto a larger scale. But the philosophical question applies even on an individual level. But if you believe in reincarnation and you believe that souls are here for a specific purpose and the duration is up, they return, or they are already recycled souls that are only here for a specific purpose, and then they will receive an ultimate reward, things begin to fall into place.
Jack has some good answers. Remember the business the mission of Israel?
In reality, this is one of the fundamental questions that you have throughout the Tanakh. Why do the righteous suffer and why do the wicked prosper? The reality is the question is answered in the book of Malachi, but it has to come in the final end. It's not something that we're going to see happen at this point in time. And in Rabbi Lozato's work, The Knowing Heart, he deals with this issue, about you have these ideas that certain people think there's an evil God and a good God, and they're in a battle contest. But the reality is, the one thing that we can know from certain, and I'm quoting Romkov from this, he says that the only true thing that we can know about the many perfections that we talk about, of the King of the universe, such as His wisdom and His strength, we can't fully know those. But we can fully know the unity, the perfection of His unity, the one thing that He actually reveals to us. So, His providence and how He deals with the world and questions like that, they're simply beyond us. So we can come up with philosophical answers, but in reality, we just can't really come up with it.
So we just have to trust.
Exactly.
We just have to
trust His providence and how He's working things out, because ultimately, the ultimate goal, and this in some sense also includes within the people of Israel, and God's goal of bringing not only Israel but the rest of the world with Him into the state of perfection where evil is completely eliminated, and even in this period of time in which we live in, evil is something that's temporary and something that never dominates. We always say, we have all these great cliches that we use, for example, that good will always triumph over evil. And that's really true, because evil is something that's temporary. But good is permanent. And if you go back and look, when God creates the heavens and the earth in the days of creation, at the end of those days, He says, it is good. Not only does He judge it to be good, and those are permanent. Whereas evil is something that's temporary, and and the whole process with Israel and their leadership, by the way, is leading the world toward this perfection of absolute goodness and the complete eradication of evil. And this is what we should be working for.
Okay, let me just say that Michael Dallen is with us this morning, who's written the Rainbow Covenant Torah and the 7 Universal Laws, Rabbi Michael Katz and Reverend John Saunders, talking to us about the world as it is today and, of course, the 7 Universal Laws. With regard to the Jewish and non-Jewish connection, why do you think that the non-Jews want to follow basically the Jewish laws? Or why do you think there has been in the past such a disconnection, and now suddenly we see so much support for Jews, for Israel, that we've never seen before? Michael?
Well, it's a fantastic thing, but you've got to realize Jews are news. Jews are always news, and with the recreation of the State of Israel, there's tremendous interest in the morality play that is going on. You have much of Europe, much of the world denouncing the Jewish state, and people are wondering why, because they see good on the one side being denounced by evil. Israel recently gave up Gaza, and it was a strange thing to do. Nobody gives up its own sovereign land in order to get peace, and the Jews expected that they would be honored, they would be the world's fair-haired boy for making this extraordinary sacrifice, deporting their own kind, and leaving the land for their enemies. And they thought that sacrifice would be appreciated, and of course it wasn't. And Gaza turned
I don't know who you think thought it would be. I never thought for a second.
Israel,
maybe.
No, it's lunacy, and you knew better.
Well, of course, because
we all knew better.
Yeah, we all knew better. Except Prime Minister Olmert, for some reason, did not know that.
And a great many Jews in Israel who thought that if they did this, they would be regarded as just another nation. It was an extraordinary sacrifice, and much of the world saw it, and Israel was left more hated than ever before. I mean, that's the thing. The more Jews with a secular mindset try to be just a normal nation, try to give in to the demands of their enemies, give up the Temple Mount, give up Gaza, give up the land of Israel.
Give up Israel. There's nothing left to give.
To give up most of the land of Israel, it just drives the enemies of Israel nuts. To them, it just shows Jewish illegitimacy. When Israel betrays its mission,
right.
and you know its mission, just not from deep study, but the general drift of Torah, from knowing the Noahide Laws, when Israel runs from that, when Israel denounces that, the other side gets stronger. Look at our newsletters on our website, firstcovenant.com. Read them. Read the book. Come to our website. Check out the blog. Check out the discussions there. And you're going to see these things examined in detail and in a vivid way. And you're going to see that you've got this extraordinary enemy, and it's a morality play of and by the Bible. And whether you're into the Bible or not, you can see the drama. The drama of Israel in the world is one of the world's chief dramas, and people find it fascinating. They want to know who the players are.
I think that people are finding all of you fascinating because this is information they probably did not get before. Rabbi Katz, what is the significance of Jerusalem to the Jewish people, and why does everybody want a piece of that? And I'll put that out to everybody and anybody who'd like to join us as well.
Why does everyone want a piece of Jerusalem?
Yeah, and nobody seems to understand, even the Jewish people, the significance of Jerusalem, the years that go back to Jews being on that land at that time, but everybody wants a piece of it, and wars are being fought just for Jerusalem.
in a sense, I think, to me it seems like little boys playing in the sandbox, and the one boy has a beloved toy, and the others want it just because he loves it. They want to take it away from him just because they're bullies. I mean, historically, Jerusalem is not that significant a city for the Muslims. And in fact, for many years they ignored it. When they had opportunities to do something with it, they didn't. They want it pretty much because we have it. If we didn't have it, they wouldn't care that much. That's my feeling.
That's really true.
But now the Temple Mount, Al-Quds, the Holy, as they call it, is the very center of Islamic discontent. The picture of the newly gilded Dome of the Rock, and along with the Mosque of Omar, are the most holy sites in Islam. All of a sudden, and you have pictures of the suicide bombers, which is a vile phenomenon and a violation of the Noahide Laws. It makes God, it gives God a bad name. You see them taking pictures of themselves in front of pictures of that newly gilded shrine. That shrine that exists only because it is atop the ancient Jewish temple. That shrine exists to tell the world that Islam has supplanted Judaism in the world. Islam has supplanted Israel. The Arabs are the real heirs of the blessings and covenant of Abraham. It's like planting a flag over its enemy's territory, and
it's the same idea.
They didn't care, and even then they didn't care about it before. They used to assume the Jews were dead and done, and when the Jews showed them up, it has driven, and when the Jews gave it back, that's an example of inflaming the enemy and making them more impossible than ever. What we have here in this struggle between Israel and the Arab nations that want to exterminate it is the ancient struggle that has been going on all along, and it is very much one of the leading causes, if not the leading cause, in the Arab, in what we're seeing now, the Islamic terrorism against civilization.
Well, do you think that the role, when you say radical Islam, people try to use that terminology, radical Islam, and nobody really defines what Islam stands for, what it's all about. I mean, we've had Bridget Gabriel and Noni Darwish, all kinds of people who are, Muslims or Christian Arabs, Joseph Farr, and nobody really has an answer. Can you separate radical from moderate?
Well, a real Muslim keeps the Noahide Laws and does not send children out as suicide bombers to maim and murder children. What we have today, though, is something like what happened with the Nazis. Now, the Nazis were infected by this same awful spirit. That it's the anti-Israel, you could say. It defies the Noahide Laws. It defies the laws of common humanity, and it is, and it's infected almost the whole of Islam. They can't be too radical. They can't be too bloodthirsty. The most bloodthirsty are regarded as the most religious. They are sending their children. Come look at some of our newsletters.
Gentlemen, we need to take a break. We have to take a break for some station business. So if you could wait quietly on the line, and anybody out there who would like to join, we have now 4 lines. There's hardly any left. 1-866-587-1007, 416-870-1007, or go out and buy a copy of the Rainbow Covenant. Get on the site and find out more about the Noahide Laws. We'll be right back. Stay with us, please. Thank you, gentlemen, for waiting. We have Michael Dallen, we have Rabbi Michael Katz, we have Reverend Jack Saunders, and we also have a couple of callers that managed to get through. So let's go to our first caller. Good morning, caller. Do you have a question for our gentleman this morning?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm a Muslim, and I'm just asking if you take a call from a Muslim for this program. I'm not sure.
You're on the air right now. I'm taking your call. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Just to give you some ideas that why the site is so important for Muslim. This is one of the holiest sites for Muslim, and as far as I understand, it is the holiest site for all the three Abrahamic religion, which is Islam, Christianity, and the Judaism, and it is related to one way or the other to all these three religions. So to me, nobody has a complete and a full right just to keep it for themselves. Okay?
Do you think the Jews are keeping it for themselves? It is open. All the churches are open for everybody, but under other rules, it is not open to the Jews. It is not open to the Christians.
Absolutely.
Do you think that's fair?
No, it is not fair. As I said, it should be open to all the religion, and every single person who ever believe in those religions should be able to go and practice whatever they believe. Okay? So
do you also, sorry gentlemen, do you also think that 22 countries who have their own countries and their own faiths and are able to practice, that Israel should not have their own country as well?
I don't dispute with that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what is your question?
My question is that this piece of land, which is sacred to all the three religions, should be open to all the three religions without any hindrance, without any barricade, without any of those kind of those kind of things which stop going people to practice their religion. And the second thing is, I totally agree with what the previous gentleman was saying, that there is a different kind of frame of mind which is creating this kind of hatred in the world, and people are sending the suicide bomber and killing the innocent people. Islam do not allow any person to take anybody's life without any. They don't have any jurisdiction to do that. Only the courts and only those kind of powers are supposed to decide whether somebody is guilty or not. Nobody has the right to go and take lives of anybody. This is regardless of if any Muslim person goes and does the suicide bombing, or any Israeli, plan, or any Israeli missile hit any innocent person. So this is regardless of that also. And this is the decree of Quran. And Quran says it's very, very clearly that if any single person whose life is taken without any sin, or without any guilty, he had killed a whole humanity. It is not only that he killed that person, but the whole humanity is being killed. And the reverse of that is, if he saves a single person, he saved the whole humanity. That's how great the message of Islam is.
That's exactly what the Jewish faith thinks. Okay, thank you for joining us. I know that our Rabbi Katz and Michael Dallen and Jack Saunders want to make a comment. We have another caller, and we only have a couple of minutes left. So thank you for joining us. You're always welcome to be on the show.
Thank you, Zelda. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, guys, you want to say something quickly, because we have another caller waiting.
I would like to say that there's a difference between fighting back in self-defense and trying to kill the killers, and trying to kill women and children on behalf of your cause. The German nation during World War II included wonderful Germans who tried to save their fellow man, and it included a majority of Nazis who were vicious and vile, and that's the problem what we've got with the Arabs today.
Should we go to the next caller, because we have a couple of minutes. Let's go to our next caller. Good morning. Wait a second. Okay, can you get that caller on the line? Seeming to having trouble with the... Okay, here we go. Caller, you're on the air. Do you have a question very quickly?
Good morning. They teach their children, the Muslims, that the Jews are from the descent of monkeys and pigs. In that regard, what makes them? Because as I understand, they are part of Abraham too, right?
Right.
So if we are pigs and monkeys, what are they? Aren't they the same?
Reverend Saunders, what do you want to say to that?
Well, I'd like to reply to the other gentleman's thing, his statement about, the temple not belonging to all people, this pluralistic idea that it belongs to everybody. there were articles of property that were particularly bought within the land of Israel. For example, the cave of Machpelah was paid for by Abraham. The Temple Mount was paid for by King David. We have this idea of ownership, and that was clearly seen within the context of Abraham buying the cave of Machpelah in Hebron, and also the ownership, by the way, of King David buying the Temple Mount. It belongs to the people of Israel. It has been bought and paid for. It's not a pluralistic place. Yes, it might have some kind of significance to different groups, but the reality is it doesn't belong to all those groups. It belongs to one group, and that's to the people of Israel. And this was the place in which the temple was built, and this is the place where God said that He would manifest His name and manifest His divine presence there. And eventually we'll see it again. It's not a pluralistic place. It is particularly belongs to the people of Israel, and they should exercise their right and do the proper thing and rebuild the temple at this moment.
Okay. All right. Caller, thank you for joining us. You made your point. I'm sure our guests this morning understand what you've said in our audience, so thank you for joining us. Okay. We have about a minute left over, so each one of you has 30 seconds or less or more to say, what you'd like to conclude with, if you wouldn't mind. Michael, do you want to start? Rabbi Katz, with whoever.
Well, the temple is supposed to be the house of prayer for all people.
Yes.
And Noahides, more than anybody, need this place along with the Jewish people, and they should resent the Arab occupation, the Muslim occupation of this place, and what the Muslims are becoming and have become, suicide bombers. You can say that it's not normative, but they're doing it.
Okay, Rabbi Katz, very quickly.
Well, I'll save everyone time. I'll say amen, brother, to what Mike said. So.
Okay. Gentlemen, we are totally out of time. It was an incredible show. I thank you very much, all of you, for being with us. I hope we can do this again in the not-too-distant future. Reverend Saunders, thank you very much for making those comments. I think they were very, very important. Please, people, pick up a copy of the Rainbow Covenant. What's the website again? Michael?
1ST, First Covenant.com. Come and visit.
Okay, Michael will be on with us in a couple of weeks as well on our Rainbow Covenant. It's been a pleasure, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. Have a terrific day. Take care. Bye. Bye. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the program. I am certain that it will be on our website in the next little while as soon as mitconsulting.ca gets it together. Thank you for being a part of the show. Have a wonderful day. Andy, thank you for doing such a great job. I'm Zelda. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Join us again next week for another topic and another lively discussion. We invite your calls and your active participation on the Zelda Open Line Show. Until then, have a great day.
Broadcasting in over 30 languages to more than 30 cultural communities. This is 100.7 FM Toronto.